Joining us right now is Dan Levy, Barclays Senior U.S. Autos and Mobility Analyst. Good morning to you. So much to think about from that call, from sort of the pivot. Let's just start there. What did you think of what you heard? What do you think of this pivot?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Andrew and Becky, for having me. Look, this pivot has been in the works, and so it's not really much of a surprise given everything that's played out over the last year and a half. But we did think it was sort of symbolic that models S and X, which really were the models that made Tesla into a volume automaker and established them as this disruptive force in the automotive industry, are now getting phased out. And there is this baton pass that's now going on to the next phase of Tesla's growth, which is in physical AI, be it from autonomous driving or humanoid robots. And that's the transition that's playing out right now.
And when you think about this stock and when you think about the valuation, I know it's always been a hard company to quote unquote value, at least on a sort of straight line basis. What do you think now?
The valuation is challenging because, look, our jobs are really rooted in fundamental analysis. And we know there's a sharp disconnect between where this stock is and the near-term fundamentals. Just, a tidbit, Tesla is one of two companies in the world that's $100 billion plus valuation, but also trades at 150 times forward earnings or more. And so there's this recognition that clearly the market is pushing less of an emphasis on the near-term earnings. And I think it's really on us to try to think beyond some of the near-term earning dynamics when we're doing our valuation, framework. The other thing is remembering, look, there is a very heavy retail base. There is a very heavy technical base that really supports the stock here. And so that's why, while the stock may seem sort of extreme from a valuation standpoint, we're mindful that this may not change anytime soon, so long as the market really is pushing forward on AI narratives.
Okay, so how do you though value or how are you even thinking right now about the prospect for the robotaxi and what you think that business ultimately looks like? On one end, we can start there, and then after that, we should probably get into the Optimus robot story because that is the next real leg of this story.
Yeah, so right now the focus on robotaxi is going to be on making sure that they can have scaled commercialization. Really, that's the focus this year. They pulled the driver from Austin, and so we want to see, how much more widely they can expand ODD, the number of cars, and really start to take share and see whether this is a service that can really compete against a Waymo. Can they do this in other locations, right? That's going to be the focus this year. And you can start to sketch out, if they can get this done and they have a cost advantage, how this is going to unlock revenue. The humanoid robots is much more difficult because that's still really in an R&D and prototype phase, as Elon said. They're going to start production of the Gen 3 version later this year, but we still have to see, really how they unlock that. That one is much more of a show me story, but you can see where the TAM is quite large on that.
In terms of the taxi piece, obviously we've seen the success of Waymo. They've gotten to some scale. How scaled up do you think the robotaxi will ultimately be? There's always been this question about LiDAR and the like, and sort of the idea that they don't, the Tesla doesn't use LiDAR. Does it matter? Has he proved his point? Meaning, has Elon proved the point that you don't need LiDAR?
Well, I think that's still getting proven, right? The reality is that, yes, we've seen Tesla pull the driver. It's on a limited basis, though. If you compare this to where Waymo is right now in any of the many cities where they are operating, and they're now fully driverless in, I believe it's 3 or 4 cities, right? Waymo clearly has proven they can pull the driver. So Tesla still has to prove that more widely. But the opportunity for Tesla is going to be on the cost side, because remember, each Waymo costs something along the lines of $100,000 to $150,000 per vehicle. The beauty of a cybercab is that could be $30,000 or less. And so once you unlock that driverless capabilities, and I think we're still seeing that, LiDAR versus no LiDAR debate play out. But if Elon can fully prove that this can be done on vision only, and he can get some of the other commercialization pieces, there is a significant cost advantage. And that's why I think the market is treating Tesla as probably the only other competitor to Waymo here.
And then finally, Dan, when you think about the robot piece of it, what is the timeline and what is the honeymoon? When I say honeymoon, how much extra time, the sort of Elon Musk advantage, the Elon Musk honeymoon, which is to say, he can give us a timeline, but the market is also typically willing to give him extra time. And so, what's your timeline look like, and how does that matter?
Well, that honeymoon phase right now, at least as to what the market is saying, is quite long. The reality is that we're only going to see initial production of what's more of a closer to production version later this year, right? As opposed to the prototype version that we've had. So this is still very much in improving the concept phase. I think what the market really is focused on, though, is the TAM capabilities. We just point out, if you went to CES a few weeks ago, there were any number of other Chinese players that have humanoid robots. You have Boston Dynamics. Tesla obviously does have an AI advantage. He's talking about some of the opportunities or the advantages on supply chain. Hand design. Hand is actually a really tricky part of this. They've got the battery piece, right? That's why I think Tesla is being given a significant benefit here from the market's perspective.